Okay guys, for today's tutorial you're going to want to print out your mushroom coloring chart, which will be attached to the post. And then I'm using Copic markers and a white gel pen. You can use any alcohol marker that you have. You can also use any white gel pen. I'm using the Sakura Jelly Roll 08. I also use the Uniball, the Signo Uniball. They work pretty good, but you can use white gouache or white acrylic paint, whatever you got that will be opaque over the marker. These are the marker colors that I'm using. I'm just going to hold this up here. Hopefully that shows up pretty good. You might want to pause this if you're not using Copics and just match up colors from your marker collection that match or close. They don't have to be exact matches, just pretty close to what you have here. Mostly you want it to be in the same value range, meaning darkness, and the same color range, which is, you know, like earth tone or blue, you know, etc. And then the paper I'm using is actually Cryogen Metallic. You can use whatever cardstock that you prefer for markers. Alright, so I have printed out the light lines version of the mushroom coloring chart. The light's maybe a little too bright. And we are going to color the Inky Cap Coprinopsis Atramentaria. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I get an E for effort. So the first color we are going to start with, and I made little notes on my index card here, is N8, which is sort of a dark neutral gray. So if you're using Spectrum Noir or Arteza or any other alcohol marker, that is, it looks sort of like a black, but not quite black. That's this color right here. And yeah, and I like brush tips, and I'm just gonna very lightly go in. Let me scoot in here so you can see a little better. Oh, maybe not quite that much in. There we go. And just start filling in the bottom, the drops. I mean, that's what they look like to me, ink drops. And because we have light lines, you don't have to worry too much about going out of the lines, which is one of the great things about not having the bold, dark outline. You can kind of ad-lib a bit. Alright, so we have the drops colored in. And now we're just going to kind of go along the bottom edge. And remember, we're using light pressure and just the tip of our nib. If you don't have brush nib, just use, I would probably use the bullet nib or just like the very corner of the chisel nib. Whatever has a point, the better point, or the easiest point for you to work with. And then we're going to sort of flick up a bit. And we don't want to go too far up into the cap here. So we want to be able to create the dimension with the purple and bluish colors that we have, the purple blue, purple blurples. Alright, so again we're flicking, just sort of lifting a little bit as we come up. And that is a little harder to do with bullet or chisel nibs. So if your lines aren't as feathery looking, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Once we start blending, it'll look a lot closer to this. So don't fret if your lines look kind of like more like this. They look a little rounder like that. It's fine. Once the colors all blend together, it won't be as noticeable. I mean, it'll look a little different, but not much. All right. Next, we are going to get out the BV08, which is this right here. That is sort of a dark blue violet or blue purple color. There we go. That is, hopefully it's focusing. This color right here. You can see it's just a dark blue purple. And again, I'm using the brush tip. I use the brush tip always on this one, so I'll try not to repeat that again. And we're just going to pull from inside the N8, or the dark gray, and flicking again. And we're pulling it up about midway, maybe just a little under midway through the cap. And we kind of want that feathery look. We want it's almost kind of like if you're doing hair. It just helps with the blending, so you don't have a hard edge between one color and the other. And it also helps with the texture, because if you look at the reference photos, which I've linked on the blog post or on the Patreon post, you'll notice that the cap has sort of, I think the word is striations. It's sort of striated. Anyway, so that kind of helps keep that texture there without literally drawing in the striations with the markers. And then just pull up the darker purple a little bit higher on the edges there. Alright, and we are done with the BV08 for now. And now I'm going to pull out BV13, and that is a sort of a medium to light blue violet. That's this color. Yeah, I would say a medium to dark, maybe even blue violet right there. So again, if you're not using Copics, just find something that you have that's close to that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Keep that in mind. All right. And again, we're just going to pull from that last color that you used. And we're not going to pull this through as much. We're just sort of, yeah, we're just pulling this through a little bit, as you can probably see. I'm trying a new camera setup here, so yeah. And we're just doing a little bit, not as much as we did with the other two colors. Alright, and next we are going to BV00, which is a very light blue violet. Oops. That is this light violet color here. Sort of a lavenderish color. And we're flicking that as well. And this is basically making the lightest part of the mushroom cap. Alright. Now that looks pretty cool, and you could stop right there if you wanted to, but I want my cap to be all dark. So I'm going to come in with the N8 again, that's our dark gray. And I'm just going to pull some more feathering down from the top. And if it's easier for you, turn the page around. Just turn it upside down. like so. And actually I'll do it here. I don't usually need to, but we will. And just go along the upper outline and feather down. Don't do too much here because we don't want to lose the highlights. See, just a little bit. And then we're going to go back to the BB08, sorry. Oh, I hope this, there we go. Again, don't do a whole lot, just a little bit. So we don't want to lose that highlight. Down to the BB13. And then we will grab that BV00 for the last little bit. And feel free to leave some white in there. Now, you might like this much purple. You might want to go in and add a little more black. That is totally up to you. I think I want to add a little more black myself. So I'm going to take the N8 and just bring just a little more in. Not a whole lot. I just really want my Inky Cap to be a little darker, a little spookier, but you can have yours more purple. It doesn't, it's totally to taste. I noticed when I was looking at reference photos, some of them had more white in them. Some of them were kind of, they had like white, I don't know what the word for be, but they look kind of like white crusty looking pieces on it. So feel free to be, you know, take artistic liberty. This is your Inky Cap mushroom. I think the drippy pieces off of it are the most important bit to, you know, make it look like an Inky Cap mushroom. That's really what art is. You get the message across and then you go crazy and make it yours. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take E55, which is this here, and we're going to do the shadows on the stem of the mushroom. And I didn't do any research to like figure out what everything on the mushroom is called. I apologize. I mean, I'm sure I saw, I just don't keep the name of things very well. I'm not a names person. I forget the name of things. Anyway, so we're just gonna pull some down from the under the cap, and we're gonna pull a little bit up from around the grass, and make sure you sort of shape that grass there a little bit. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out the E43, which is, oh, I forgot to show you the colors of the E55 is sort of a warm orangey brown, and then the E43 is a more gray brown. And they're both sort of a medium. You can go darker if you wanted to, but the reference photos were pretty light. I actually made this a little darker just for the sake of the drawing, really, because in the reference photos there wasn't much shadowing going on at all. Okay, and then just pull some of this. We're basically just making deeper shadows with this E43, and then I'm pulling some just to add a little texture to the stem. I pulled some lines through. Yeah, I'm gonna change this camera setup again, but for now it'll do. All right, next we're gonna take E50. And we're just going to go through here, just kind of pull it all together. Like so. And that just kind of brings it all together. And then I think I want to take E41 and just do a layer of that. I think the E50 is a little bit light. There we go. And the E50 is sort of a light, very light peach right there. And then the E41 is a little bit darker, a little less saturated. So you probably could have skipped the E50 and just did the E41. Or, you know, pick a color you like better. It just needs to be more of a light peach or a sand color or even a grayish white. Any of those would work. Look, check out the reference photos and pick something from your tools that match. That's really all you have to do. All right, so let's do the grass now. For the grass, I went with just two colors, YG99, which is a dark yellow green. It looks like this. That right there. And just kind of go around what you have, the lines you have there. And we're just flicking, we're not, you don't really have to follow the lines so much. They're going to disappear anyway, as you can see there. And then we're going to take the YG95. There we go. Which looks like this here. Sort of a golden yellow with green in it. That's what it makes me think of. And we're going to fill in the empty spaces, add a few flicks outside of that, and just bring it down a bit. Like that. And then if you want to add a background, I just took B00. There we go. And I just sort of, you know, I hold it in the back because I don't want to be too perfectionist about it, and just did some circles around here. Like this. I'm using the side of the marker. And then I'm just kind of going to go up and down to blend it just a little bit. And don't worry if you go into the mushroom, it doesn't matter. The paper that I've printed this on is the Cryogen Metallic. It's my favorite, especially because usually I like to use colored pencil over this, but for this tutorial I'm not, because I don't want you to feel like you have to have markers and pencils and all this other stuff in order to color, because you don't. Alright, so now I'm just going to take a, this is a Jelly Roll 08 white gel pen, and I'm going to go in and add some little highlights. This was my prototype, and I'm just going to try to do the same thing I did there. Mostly focusing on where the mushroom is rounded, because these are highlights. I want this to look like ink dripping off the cap. And there we go. And then if you want, you can add a little bit of highlight on the stem maybe, because those stems were pretty light, and this will help it be lighter. There we go. And there is our Inky Cap mushroom with alcohol markers. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments on the Patreon post, and I will get back to you hopefully within a few days. I don't get notifications or anything for comments, even though I do have the Patreon app. I don't know if it's a setting. I'm going to go in and try to sort it out. But hopefully you have enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.